Today we're going to talk about evening routines for creative parents. So 2 weeks ago I talked about how to establish a morning routine, and I will link that video in the cards above and also in the description box below. But I did want to tell you that if you haven't watched that video yet, it's okay. I'm going to go over some of the same concepts because the process is very similar, but there are different things that we do in the morning versus the evening. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katlyn Duncan and I am a hybrid author, which means I publish both traditional and independent books. Here on my channel we talk about the writing process and all the bookish things, and I'm so glad you're here. So if you are interested in any of that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell next to it so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads going forward. So as I discussed in that previous video, the first step is to set yourself up for success. And I mentioned using a digital device or your digital calendar, or you can just use a pen and paper, bullet journal, whatever you'd like. So first of all, you want to establish when that evening routine starts and when it ends. So I talk about time boundaries and establishing when it starts. So you have a specific time block that you know you have to do a certain amount of things, and we're going to talk about breaking that down so that you can do everything you need to do within that time boundary and not feel like you're spilling into different parts of your life. And it's also super helpful for determining what belongs in an evening routine or a morning routine and what needs to go elsewhere or delegated or deleted. So you want to be able to take into account your children's bedtimes, your bedtimes, any night activities that you do or any after school activities you do with your children, to when you want to start that evening routine. Now for me, my evening routine starts after dinner. Everything's put away, everything's cleaned, and then I start my evening routine. But you can incorporate your evening routine to have the meal prepping, eating, and cleaning up. It's totally up to you. Now the next step is prioritizing what needs to be done during your evening routine. So as I said, it could include your children's homework depending on how old they are, and also I highly recommend in my From Chaos to Control Method course for published author moms that you incorporate self-care somehow into your schedule every single day. And that can include your evening routine. So I want you to list out your non-negotiables and also the self-care activities you want to do. And they doesn't necessarily have to be the same every night. It could be reading a book, watching your favorite show, doing yoga, mindfulness activities, anything like that that will give you sort of the fulfillment and creative well-filling that you ultimately need as a creative. Another tip is sort of looking at your non-negotiables and also your self-care activities and seeing if you can sort of meld them together. So if you are reading a book, why not have your children read next to you if they're of a certain age, or you read to them, or combining self-care activities with your household chores to creating a little more of a bonding and a melding of your mom self and your author self. Now, if you could go into the comments below and tell me about your non-negotiables for your evening routine and also some self-care ideas that you have. In my course, we create what's called a self-care menu, which is basically all of the things that you do for self-care divided into time increments so that you can pick and choose from this self-care menu depending on how much time you have within your set routine. Now, evening routines over morning routines can be a bit different. So morning routines typically involve the same time every day. Maybe weekends are shifted or holidays, but evening routines can vary widely depending on your children's activities, your activities, and your work, things like that. So in order to sort of maintain flexibility and also an understanding of how you can be successful within your routines, I recommend time tracking and mini environments. So basically time tracking is how long it actually takes you to do a task, and that can be achieved by just knowing how long this takes you. For someone like me, I have time blindness, so sometimes I can't establish those things, so I need to track the time. I usually track 2 to 3 instances, take an average, and then plot it into my schedule. Then we have mini environments. So we do things in certain environments, whether it's a physical space like a room or a place on your computer, a certain software, things like that. So by time tracking, you're able to plot out your evening routine or your morning routine in a more effective way. And also too, when it comes to mini environments, you're not task switching, because task switching in itself waste time because you're shifting from one focus to the next. But also when you are focused on, you know, a certain task within your kitchen or your living room or in Canva or anything like that, you're able to sort of pull in that focus a lot more and get more done in less time. Now, this is a huge hack that I will probably talk about for the rest of my life, but has been so helpful to me to be able to create these focused environments and then switch to a task in a different environment after I've completed the task. Now, as I mentioned, like sort of the differences between morning and evening routines is that there is definitely, at least for me, a huge energy shift from the morning to the evening. In the morning, I wake up, I'm prepared, ready to go. Nighttime can be difficult depending on like what happened that day, depending on your kids, their energy levels, what they did that day. So when it comes to the evening routine, I tend to be less rigid when it comes to the things that I do. Now, I like to do certain household chores during the evening routine because the more I keep up with it, the less I get behind if I get behind. So if I can't do one of those things the next day, I try to do it. It's not as overwhelming as if I hadn't done it for like 3 weeks. So my evening routine is something that I try to be a little more flexible and adaptable depending on the day. So if you are not fully productive, got everything off your list, that's okay. Energy is a huge thing, especially when it comes to having your whole day behind you. So I recommend being kind to yourself, but also too, it's important to do some delegation. If you find yourself consistently overwhelmed in your evening routine, definitely reach out. I know a lot of times moms want to do it all, and we absolutely can. It does come with the expense of our health and mental well-being and leading to burnout. So I would recommend, if you are feeling overwhelmed, reach out to someone who loves you and will definitely help you in your journey to success. So also too, if you don't have anyone in your area or you feel like you don't, reach out in the comments below. Let me know what you're struggling with and I'd be happy to brainstorm ways to help you out. So if you want to take your evening routine to the next level, I have a Google Sheet download in the description box below for you to check out, and it has calculations in there and it'll help you plot out your routines, whether that's morning or evening. And as I said, comment below if you're struggling with anything. I'm happy to help. And I also think this community that we've built here is more than willing to help as well. So if you enjoyed this video, do give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell next to it so you know the next time I upload, and I'll see you next week.